as we kick off 2024, we're still very early in the year. I want to help you get your money team together and let you know all the players, all the people, all the things that you could and should have on your money team. What's going on, family? Welcome back to another episode of Financial Freedom Fast Lane. You know the vibes. The quicker you get to your dream life, the longer you get to live it. And I'm your host, George Ashenpong. And I'm mad at myself because I know better. And I popped a pimple on my face. And now I got to deal with the aftermath. But you know, it's all good. We're going to show up. We're going to do what we came to do. Anyway, now let me give you this disclaimer. You don't have to have a person for every single role. You just need to determine what is most relevant to you at this time and either get a service that can check the box on getting this done, right? Or as your financial life evolves, add players as you go. You don't have to have the team from the get-go, but I wanted to make sure you understood what a complete financial team looked like. All right, let's get into it. All right, so first we're gonna start off with business finance, right? So if you don't have a business, obviously you can ignore this particular part of the money team. But for most people who are business owners, that is probably their biggest asset. That's their cash cow. That is what's giving them the money to be able to build wealth and invest in the first place. So we got to make sure we understand what are the players that are a part of your business money team, right? So first is an accountant or a CFO. So if your business, depending upon the size of your business or the complexity of your business, you might have just an outsourced accountant that you work with, or you might have an in-house CFO. I don't think there's like a specific threshold as to, you know, when it makes sense. But I would say that if you're not doing, if you don't have at least an 8-figure business, you probably can just get by with working with an accountant, right? And maybe even beyond that, depending upon how good the accounting service is. If you have a lot of transactions, you have a lot of different moving parts, you might need an internal CFO or an outsourced CFO at the very least. But at minimum, everybody needs an accountant, right? Someone who's going to have peer view over all of the business finances, okay? Now, to support that accountant, you're going to need a bookkeeper. In some instances, the bookkeeper and the accountant can be the same person. The more robust your business, the higher the likelihood that they need to be two different people, but nonetheless, you got to have a bookkeeper. So as I'm going through this, you don't necessarily have to think that, man, I need a different person in every slot. If you have an accountant that's successfully checking all of these boxes, then great. If you don't, then you know that you need to expand your money team. But you got to have an accountant whose main job is overseeing the financials, forecasting, letting you know when you can make certain decisions in the business, when you can hire this person, when you can buy this new system, when you can buy this new software, when you can buy this building, right? Because they have great insight and oversight of the business financials. The only way they're going to be able to have that oversight is if they have clear financials, right? Clear and accurate books and record keeping is essential to the success of your business, right? And you need a tax preparer, right? So you have to check the box on the tax compliance piece. Where most people go wrong is they have a tax preparer and they think they have an accountant and they think they have a bookkeeper. All they really have is at the end of the year, or more realistically, the beginning of the following year, someone who is filing their taxes. And in my opinion, that is a glorified historian at the end of the day, right? Like, you're just telling me about what happened. Most of the deductions are done. I can't take advantage of them. The year's already passed, right? You're just making sure that I'm in compliance with the IRS. I'm probably overpaying in taxes, right? So you got to make sure you have somebody that can check that box. But that is the lowest on the totem pole in terms of priorities when it comes to your business finance money team. Well, let me rephrase. I'm not saying the lowest on the totem pole. I just mean that is the easiest job when you have an accountant that's helping you make data-driven decisions, and when you have a bookkeeper that's giving you clear and accurate records, and the accountant is giving you tax strategy, right, to ensure that, and even that could be a separate role in and of itself, but tax strategy to ensure that we're basically predicting your tax bill. We know what's coming, we know what to expect, and we're just doing our compliant part to file the taxes, okay? And depending upon the size of your company, you might need someone who is over like company benefits, maybe even a 401k administrator. But those are the core people or core things that you need as a part of the business finance aspect of your money team. All right, so now let's get into personal finance, right? So personal finance is, okay, I'm a business owner, or maybe I'm not a business owner, but the money that comes into my personal bank account, I need to make sure that I'm maximizing, right? So the first thing you need is a financial advisor. This advisor is here to design a plan that aligns with the financial goals that you have, whether it's short-term, mid-term, long-term, generational wealth, legacy goals, whatever it might be. The job of the planner is to connect the dots on all of those relevant pieces and put it together in a blueprint, right? And that becomes the North Star for how you govern your finances. You also need an investment advisor. Again, there are instances where these people can be one and the same. I'm just letting you know the things that have to be done, right? You need an investment advisor, someone whose main job is to oversee the investments. The reason why it's not mutually exclusive with the financial planner is because a financial planner might put the plan in place, but they might not be the person who's placing the trades on your behalf or advising you on your investments, right? And even investment advisor can get nuanced depending upon the things that you want to invest in. You could have an investment advisor who focuses on public markets, i.e. the stock market, futures, foreign exchange, etc. You can have an investment advisor that focuses on real estate. So your real estate advisor helps you go find and acquire multifamily real estate, single family rentals, short-term rentals, whatever your jam is, right? And then you also might have a investment advisor who helps you focus on private markets, right? How do I acquire this laundromat or car wash or this business that is just not publicly traded that I want to invest in, I want to own, but I don't want to run it, right? Those are all components that you would need as a part of your financial plan, or excuse me, your personal finance team, right? Could one or two people potentially facilitate those different hats? Maybe, depending upon who you hire. But these are the things that as you grow your wealth, assuming that these things are relevant and important to you, that you would want to have as a part of your team, right? Some people might not have a desire to invest in private equity. Some people might not have a desire to invest in real estate. And if you don't have that desire, then you don't need that advisor, right? You might just want to invest in the stock market passively long-term, and that's all that you ever do. And in that case, maybe you don't even need an advisor for that. But if you have the desire to have a more robust financial plan, or wealth building plan, then you're going to need these different components, these different players as a part of your personal finance wealth building team. A couple honorable mentions in the personal finance bucket is a business valuation advisor, right? As I mentioned, your business is going to be one of your most valuable assets. And you mentioned, well, we have a business finance team or money team. Why wouldn't the business valuation advisor be in that bucket? Tomato, tomato. The reason why I put it in the personal finance bucket is because you're thinking about business valuation, but if you want to exit the business. If you want to exit the business, it's going to give you this capital infusion to do what? Grow and build your wealth on the personal side, right? So I personally like to put it in the personal finance team bucket, but it doesn't really matter as long as they're on your team, right? It's like you have your offensive coordinator, your defensive coordinator, your special teams coordinator, whatever. Put it where you want it. But if you have the desire to grow and scale and exit a business one day, then you need to have somebody who can help you understand how you're tracking with that target. And last but not least, having a relationship with a personal banker, right? In the event you need to get access to capital for your business or for personal or credit, loans, understanding the best banking products, it's important to have that relationship. Having a relationship with a personal banker can also put you on their radar if there are off-market foreclosures and investment opportunities as well. So really establishing a relationship with a solid personal banker is great. All right, so the next part of your money team is the legal aspect, right? Because you can build all the wealth in the world, but if you are not protected, right, you could be out here vulnerable and naked and afraid. So let's talk about the legal aspect of your money team. All right, first and foremost, again, if you have a business, you're gonna need a business attorney, someone that can review contracts, someone that can make sure that your legal entity structure is set up the right way, all those things, right? Even maybe play an administrative role with making sure that your entities, like the filing annual filings are done and up to date as well, right? Because these are all small things that when you're out getting to it, building your business, finding new clients, like you might be a good person, you might be great at what you do, but those types of things might slip through the cracks. You might overlook something in a contract, and you don't want those types of things to trip you up on your journey to building a great business and ultimately building wealth. So making sure that you have a business attorney. Now, what I see is that typically someone who is a business attorney does not typically focus in intellectual property, right? And if you are a business owner, you are going to have intellectual property, right? From the name, the brand, the logo, to the things that you patent, the things that you build. You want to make sure that those things are protected so that no one can steal your intellectual property, or more important, that you aren't accidentally infringing upon someone else's intellectual property, right? So starting with the end in mind and making sure that you have someone who can let you know if you're in good standing, get those trademarks filed, get those things patented, get those things copywritten, and making sure if you're starting anything new that you've done an evaluation to ensure that what you're doing isn't confusing to what someone else is doing, and now they're suing you, now they're trying to send you a cease and desist, all because you didn't know, right? You wouldn't want that to happen, especially if you started to get some real traction. I've seen that happen to people. It's super unfortunate. So it's one of those things where you got to sharpen twice and cut once, right? Like it might not be seem like the biggest priority in the beginning. It might not seem like the best use case of your money, but your business can stop before it starts, right? If you don't do that research, okay? All right, the next players and parts that you need as a part of your legal money team is you might need a tax attorney. Again, like depending upon the depth and scope of your financial situation, it might be just something that you need to have access to and not necessarily something that you're evaluating or have an ongoing relationship with. But the more robust your situation gets, you might need to start looking at having a tax attorney and also an estate planning attorney. There are a lot of great services out here that allow you to get a basic estate plan in place without having to have an ongoing relationship with an attorney per se. But again, as your situation evolves, as you start to think about revocable or irrevocable trust rather, and all these different like nuances, then you might be in the space where you need to explore working with an estate planning attorney versus just a service that can help you draft a basic estate plan and a trust and a will, right? So that is what your legal team on a fundamental level should be comprised of. Again, there's always more things to consider, but like that is the solid foundation for a legal money team. All right, and last but not least, risk management. Similar to the legal component, if you haven't mitigated your risk, if you haven't thought about the holes that can be poked in your wealthy boat, then you're probably missing that boat, right? So let's talk about the risk management aspect of your money team. So first things first, you're gonna wanna make sure that you have the right type and amount of life insurance in place, right? It's gonna be the most efficient way to transfer money to your estate upon your passing, to make sure that any bills can be paid, anything can be taken care of, while other things are being navigated and divvied up amongst your heirs. So having life insurance is very important when it comes to your money team. There's also some other ancillary benefits in terms of how you can leverage life insurance to become a family bank and things of that nature. But for the sake of this video, we'll just keep it specific to risk management. Disability insurance, right? So you are actually 3 times more likely to become temporarily disabled than you are to die prematurely. What does that mean? That means that there at some point in your life, you could be out of work or be temporarily incapacitated, right? But you probably will still live a long, healthy life, right? So making sure that you understand how your disability insurance works, because that's essentially insurance on your income. We have insurance on our cell phone. We have insurance on our laptops. We have insurance on everything, but not having insurance on your income is detrimental. So understanding how disability insurance works, when is it going to kick in? How much is it going to cover? Do I have supplemental policies available to close the gap in absence of what the policy will not cover? Those are things that you want to address, right? Health insurance. Many people, and I was the same way before up until the age of 28. When it comes to open enrollment time or just renewing your benefits, for the most part, we just kind of check the box like, okay, I need some insurance. I'll get whatever I got last year, right? You're not really doing a whole lot of heavy lifting and thinking about the type of insurance. is it really going to be exactly what you need? Because you probably have lived a healthy life. And so when I turned 28, I actually experienced a fluke health incident where I had a tumor that was growing in my spine, fractured my spine, right? And ultimately changed my life forever. I had to have this really big surgery where I had to remove the tumor. I had to get metal rods and screws placed in my back that are still there today. I have to get infusions to make sure the tumor doesn't grow back, right? So imagine if I didn't have the right type and amount of insurance. And I was actually an entrepreneur at the time, right? So if you don't have the right insurance, health insurance, it can be completely detrimental to all your financial goals because now all your money could be going towards medical bills, right? So make sure that you have the right health insurance. You're not just checking a box at open enrollment time, okay? Property and casualty insurance, right? We got to make sure that we understand how our car insurance works, how our homeowners insurance works. What does it cover? Again, let's not just check the box. Let's truly understand how these things work. What happens if I get in a car accident and someone sues me, right? Is my car insurance going to cover all of that? Or do I need to have an umbrella policy, right, to cover things that don't fall into the scope of what it looks like if I were to get into a car accident, right? These are the things that are the unsexy, unattractive, not so fun things about planning your wealth, but it's very, very important that you have these things addressed, okay? And also business insurance. If you are an entrepreneur, if you are a business owner, make sure that you understand the right type of insurance and amount that you're supposed to have, right? Some of us start these businesses and no one tells you that you're supposed to have a certain type of insurance for liabilities, right? Certain things that can happen based upon the industry you're in. Now, certain industries, it's regulated in a sense like you can't get this license or you can't start this business unless you prove that you have it, right? Which is like one of the industries I'm in when it comes to wealth building and in personal finance, right? I as an advisor, there's certain insurances, errors and omissions that I have to have in place. Not everybody, right, has to follow that same protocol. So it's very, very important, right, that we follow this and understand and do the research on the different types and amount of insurances that we need so that our business is protected. Because here's the thing, people make entrepreneurship out to be this fun, super sexy thing. People make even wealth building, right? Invest and let's see what happens in the stock market or whatever the case may be, to be this super fun aspect. But there's so many different nuances that you need to consider. And we hope that you don't run into scenarios that will cause you to have to activate some of these insurances or legal and risk mitigation protocols. But the reality is, it's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when. And we want to make sure that, like I tell my clients all the time, I can't guarantee that every ending is going to be happy, but I can guarantee that it's a successful one. If there's never a scenario where you're going to get in a car accident and be like, man, thanks for that car accident today. Now you might be grateful that you're still alive. You walk away unscathed without an injury, but you're not going to just be head over heels excited about the fact that you got in a car accident, right? But if you had the right insurance in place, you had the right umbrella policy in place, and you were protected in that scenario on top of walking away without any injuries or minimal injuries, then you can sleep good at night, right? So how do we put these guardrails in place? How do we put these systems in place in order to make sure that we have a bulletproof financial plan, right? So guys, that is how you establish a money team. That is how I think about building a money team. This is actually something that we help our clients with to ensure that they can check all the boxes that are relevant to them. So if you are interested in learning more, we'll put the link in the show notes on how to apply to work with us to learn if our team is a good fit to help you build your money team. But ultimately, guys, thank you so much for tuning into this episode. Can't wait to give you a bunch of game all year long. I know last year I said that some exciting things are coming to the Financial Freedom Fast Lane segment. Year one, which was last year, was about consistency. Showing up every day, rain, sleet, snow, hail, just like we do on the Melanin Money Show, to make sure that we deliver this free information every single week. Year two is about creativity, right? It's about creativity. How can we spice this up? And I got a lot in the tank and I'm super excited for you. So as a reminder, guys, freedom is for sale. if you're willing to pay the price. Thanks so much for tuning in. Make sure that you share this episode with somebody who needs to find their money team. Make sure that you like this episode, subscribe to this episode. It helps this content get out to more people. The more people it gets out to, the more people we can help, right? The more impact we have, and the more incentive it gives me to create this quality information for you, right? Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Until next time, peace.